Right. I think your perspective here for Landon and I is so cool and unique, because we've had on this show Mike Wright from the Fantasy Footballers, we've had Garrett Price from the Dynasty Nerds, and like I think Mike is that happy marriage of just like being a good personality, but also knowing his football. Garrett's like a film grinder, he's a Devy guy. He likes to follow players from, you know, late high school to sophomore and freshman seasons of college, and like he has that sort of evolution of the understanding of the player through film. And you are from this whole other realm of, obviously I know from your model you rely on film grades to sort of help the model understand football, but really when it comes down to it, you are using advanced analytics to build a better picture for yourself. So I kind of want to know, I think Landon and I kind of want to know more about the Breakout Finder. Like, try to just tell our listeners, as if they've never heard about it before, what the Breakout Finder is and kind of how you built the model.
Cool. I'll give you the couple minute spiel. So
Sure. Yeah.
hopefully
Elevator pitch.
yeah, that way everyone can kind of understand what it is,
Right.
why it might be worth it, and what kind of went into it. So the Breakout Finder, it's a way to evaluate the entire prospect's profile and then predict his chances of success in the NFL based on that complete skill set. The Breakout Finder app, it was originally launched last March in the Apple and Google stores with just wide receivers, recently added the 2021 wide receiver class to the app, as well as historical running backs and 2021 running backs to the 2021 version. Now, backing up a bit, I like to say computers and models are naturally the worst football fans. My model doesn't know anything about the game of football initially. The trick is finding ways to build in assumptions to the modeling process that are kind of tricking the computer into understanding what a successful NFL player's college profile looks like. So a simple example with contrast. So the model is going to understand that if you're a short and slow wide receiver, it's incredibly unlikely, no matter what else is going on with your profile, that you're going to be successful in the NFL. There's not really any guys that are like 5'9", 180 running a 4.6. That just
Right.
doesn't really. So like that profile, you can already just like X that guy out.
Right.
Probably not going to work in the NFL. Conversely, if you're 6'2", 215, you run a 4.4. You were productive in college since age 19. You know what? My modeling process, it's seen a lot of guys like that before. And more often than not, that guy's going to hit at the NFL level. So I've fed in so many different profiles of successful and unsuccessful wide receivers that it's going to understand that. Now, the tricky part and why I need to use machine learning is, let's just say that we're looking at running backs. There's usually going to be the few guys at the top that everyone loves. So like a Najee Harris this year, Jonathan Taylor last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be those guys where you're like, oh, they're probably not going to get drafted, or they're a day 3 pick. Very likely going to have no chance, not athletic, just don't really check any boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all the guys in the middle, and you have to create tiers for all these guys. And it starts to get really complicated once you're like, all right, I really like these 2 guys. I don't like these 5 guys. And now there's 20 guys in the middle. And that can get incredibly difficult to figure out what your tiers look like. So, for example, in 2020, is the 99th percentile size adjusted speed, yet 0 in the receiving game of A.J. Dillon, more likely to hit in the NFL than the very balanced but unexciting Keyshawn Vaughn?
Right.
So that's where machine learning can really come in handy. Because if you look at those guys, you can't even really just compare them in terms of, you can't just glance at their film or glance at their numbers and immediately go, oh yeah, this is the guy. So that's really where it comes in. And then we have 4 proprietary metrics with the app: teammate score, level of competition, dynamic score, and receiver rating. Teammate score tries to account for how strong your teammates are. So Jamar Chase putting up a historic sophomore season alongside Justin Jefferson is more impressive than a guy that puts up a lot of yards as a sophomore and is playing out in South Dakota, for example.
Right.
And then level of competition, that just accounts for your strength of opponents that you faced. Dynamic score is looking at wide receivers and how good they are in the open field, trying to capture some of their rushing and special teams and trick play work. And then receiver rating is just trying to measure how good the running back will become as a receiving back in the NFL. So overall, it's just a great way to have a combo of film and analytics being brought into the model to determine prospect success and the likelihood that a guy will be able to hit at the NFL level.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great trying to I know it's hard, like, because something is so complex and there's so many little nuances of it. But putting into a nutshell, that was pretty awesome.